Hey everyone, my name is Sarah. I am a mom of four and I'm starting a YouTube channel. It's finally happening. Back 8 years ago, when I got a prenatal diagnosis of Down syndrome, I scoured the internet for anything and everything I could find about Down syndrome, but also more specifically Down syndrome and travel. You see, my husband and I met long distance, so we met in person, but then he went back to Texas and I was not in Texas, and we dated long distance. Anytime we saw each other, it was through traveling. And then we got married, and a few years later, we got pregnant with our first kiddo, who happened to have a prenatal diagnosis of Down syndrome. And from there, we wanted to continue traveling, but we knew things were going to be a little bit complicated. We didn't know how complicated they were going to be until we started doing it, and the wildest things have happened. I have so many stories to share with you, from our car being broken into and taking a West Coast road trip up from LA to Vancouver, to traveling all over with our son and having so many experiences, but also visiting a lot of ERs and having some medical emergencies along the way, and just really figuring out how to travel with our kiddo with Down syndrome. It has been a journey, and I have realized that there are not a lot of resources out there because we are still very much trailblazing this experience of having children with disabilities and raising them to know that they are valued and loved and the world is their oyster. And it is not lost on me that not even 50 years ago, many of these individuals would have been institutionalized. And so when I look around and I am trying to find resources, I can't go to my elders. We live actually in a 55 and up community, so most of our neighbors are much, much older than us, but also they have no idea. They've never raised a child with a disability before. They never saw their peers with disabilities. A lot of them wouldn't have made it or were institutionalized. And so I want to be that resource for you if you need it, or you can just come along and be a friend, or if you're just interested in what it's like to travel with a loved one with Down syndrome, you are more than welcome here. We're going to keep it real. I'm going to tell you what it's really like, the challenges, the joys, all of it. And one more thing, I have some really bizarre food allergies. So we're going to talk about that too, because that's a big reason why we're traveling the way we are right now. And let me tell you about that. So, right now, we are doing a lot of Disney cruise travel. We are doing that for a multitude of reasons, for our kiddo with Down syndrome, but also because of my food allergies. We have found that it is easier to have one place to navigate those food allergies than every single restaurant. And I say that because when you are traveling with other challenges like a disability, I don't have the time and energy to go through that experience, but also it's putting my life in someone else's hands every time I eat, which is very stressful. So a lot of times when we travel, we will go to grocery stores and get groceries. But depending on where you are and how many places you want to go, that can be a little bit challenging because you may not have refrigeration access. And so there's some nuances there. So all that to say, we do a lot of cruising, and we are almost perfected what the Disney Cruise Line experience is with food allergies and disabilities. And we are actually, in less than 2 weeks, we are going on a transatlantic 14-day journey with our four kids, my husband and myself, and we're bringing my mom with us. And it's going to be an incredible experience. And as we go on this journey, I promise to be sharing it with you. So that might be a good reason to stay and subscribe and follow along. More about my food allergies. My food allergies are so bizarre. I'm actually allergic to parsley, cilantro, and cumin. Who would have thought? And it's not something that I've always had. I get a lot of questions that, if this has been like a childhood thing. No, 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 no. This is something that developed in my early 20s. We were actually at an Italian restaurant, and they would bring the bread with the oil, with the seasonings in it. and I started reacting to that. And so then we like compared that to the ingredients that we would use in our spaghetti sauce at home and kind of like whittled it down to figure out that parsley was the culprit. And then a few months later, I was eating like Chipotle and I started reacting to the rice. And turns out parsley has a sister named cilantro and coriander and cumin. And so that whole little family of spices really gives me a hard time. Um, and so I carry an EpiPen and allergy medications, and it's really annoying. Um, but yeah, that's a little bit about the allergy journey. But you're probably here because of Down syndrome, and I will share all about our diagnosis in another video because there's a lot to that. Um, but I guess like the main points about Down syndrome and travel for this introduction is that um, we have we have still traveled with our kiddo, and it has been complicated, but it is doable. And one of the main reasons I'm starting this channel is to provide those resources for others in our community. I want to make sure that everyone has access to not only the support, like the community support, but also the physical products that are out there. It is not lost on me that, less than 50 years ago, our loved ones would have been institutionalized. So, like, I'm going to do everything I can to share what works for our family and what we've learned about in the disability community. And also, there is a Facebook group if you want to join. Send me a message, comment below, all about accessible travel with kids with disabilities. And that is a great place to find contacts and resources and tools and tips. And we would love to have you there. Okay, I think that's going to be it for this video. Thank you so much for joining me. Please follow along, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.